Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport. Apologies for the long delay. We have been trying to get everything sorted and ready to go for tonight's broadcast. Unfortunately, our commentator Lexi wasn't able to do it tonight, suffering with internet problems. We did try and go live. It was very laggy. Tried to reset the router and it just wasn't happening. So we've been able to come back now and are able to bring you the broadcast here. With myself, which means ignore my name with no lap time on that leaderboard. I am now in the commentary box for you all this evening. We are at Mount Panorama for what is our take on an Australian V8 sort of series between the big Ford Mustang and that of then the superior, the really good GT3 Ford Mustang and the really good, I wouldn't say superior, GT4 car of that Chevrolet Camaro. We're on board with Ben Rook there, who clips the wall coming through the corner. It's going to be an interesting race. In terms of these categories, there is a few cars. We are now down a couple of cars. We've got 27 out there on the track at this moment in time, and lap time started to come in on the board as Overtaker. First one with Sylph putting in a better lap time. The 105 is coming to the line of Rob Smith, who goes into that third place. Jamal Clouden is out there as well, popping a lap time on the board for us as he goes into that seventh place. Car 59, that one then of Millington, will come to the line and he will put a lap time in as well. 34 will be the next car of Michael Harris, running back in his favoured blue. As we could say good evening to FTO, Chris, Arthur Daly, Peaceful Stepdad, and Lexi in the chat says evening, apologies, can't be there. Internet playing up, big thanks for Matthew for hopping in. No worries, Lexi, hopefully we'll get you out there for the Pro-Ams, who as she will be taking us through the commentary for your Pro-Am season, in which we cannot wait to get going in 2 weeks' time as Michael Harris crosses the line to put a lap time finally on the board. So, jump. Oh, apologies, we're still kind of setting everything up at this moment in time, so please just let us get everything set up and ready to go, and we'll be fully prepared in just a moment, as I'm still standing the microphone up and everything. So here we go then. So at the minute we can see a few of the drivers. Car 87 is coming towards the line, but it's currently Sylph on pole position with Jamal Clouden in second place. Michael Harris currently third from Overtaker in fourth. Tardok, your GT2 winner in the Audi event 2 weeks ago, is P5 with Robert Ramsell currently sixth place. Stephen Millington, Horvath in P8. Robert Smith is down in ninth. Car 77 is about to complete another lap time. That is Mr. Overtaker himself. Good evening to DJ Phil in the chat also. A very good evening to you there, my friend. So I believe we're all set up and ready to go. So this could be an interesting night's worth of racing. If you are obviously interested in what is to come this season, make sure you come and check out the calendar, because what a calendar we have in store for you as we head through qualifying. It starts in 2 weeks' time, and it starts with that first race on the 4th of February, Brands Hatch, in the evening for the GT4 cars, in what's going to be an absolutely fantastic spectacle there. The 5th and 6th of February is the Pro-Am and the Pros, going through to Spa, Indianapolis, Bathurst, Silverstone, Kyle Army, Imola, Nürburgring, the Red Bull Ring, Alton Park, Watkins Glen, and finishing off at Donington Park. It's going to be a fantastic night. Good evening to Paul Williams in the chat as well. As we go through, as Lexi saying, honestly, am I crazy, or does Matthew kind of sound like Harry Benjamin? Well, thank you very much. I'm going to take that one as a compliment. As Ben Rook there goes into 6th place. Robert Ramsell will be the next car. No, he won't be the next car on lap. He is just dropped behind. So what a calendar we have in store. This is the final event of this off-season, and it's going to provide to be, I'm sure, a fantastic look at what these drivers can do and will be able to do. It is going to be a really good chance to see who can do what here this evening, as we get ready to go for this race. Now, one of the stipulations for tonight's race is that the GT3s cannot qualify. As we say good evening to Beto, the GT3s cannot qualify, so the Mustangs have to stop qualifying at that 10-minute mark. They can get their last laps in at that 10-minute mark, and then they have to return to the pit lane. As I'm trying to find my phone, it's there. And then they have to return to the pit lane. So this could be huge for these guys in terms of getting an extra lap on the board. Overtaker will be the first man who's probably not going to get a lap time in. So this could be it for everybody. Sylph to the line, 8/10 off the back, doesn't improve there. Car 36 of Clouden, 6/10 off the pole at the moment. Can he improve on his lap time so far this evening in his typical Cloud9 colours, coming through the final couple of corners? And he's going to come towards the line. He goes provisional pole with a 2:05. That is a heck of a lap time from Jamal Clouden at the very, very end. Great lap from him. The GT4s can leave the pit lane with 10 minutes or under to go. So we'll see what they can do, as Michael Harris currently half a second off the time at the moment. It's all right, Phil. I know you're in my personal chat at the moment. That's just popped up on stream. It's all right, Phil. No problem. We did have a commentator, but Lexi's internet's not been able to, so that she's not been able to do it. Now, drivers can finish the lap they are on, so they will be able to complete the lap. They just cannot start a new lap after the 10-minute mark. Now, the 2:08 of Will Friedman is going to come towards the line. Very quick driver, runner-up in the GT4s last season. What can he do as he comes down towards the line now? Currently just under half a second off the provisional pole. Gets the line. Doesn't improve this time around. Car 87. That is Horvath to the line. He's going to come into the pit lane. So he is going to be done for qualifying here. As PR Motorsport. I thought you'd loaded the wrong stream when you commented on mine. As Overtaker now 4/10 off the pole. He's the one who's going to be on the march to try and get onto that front row of the grid with a little bit of time left to go. So let's see what he could possibly do here. Round the final corner now. And his Overtaker going to try and get onto that front row of the grid. He doesn't improve and doesn't have time to start another lap. As you can see, the GT4s now start to pile out of the pits. Oh, there's already carnage for one of the GT4 cars. Not quite sure who that is, because we need a place for this secondary keyboard to go. We'll put it there for the time being. See if it's in the way. But we're going to keep our eyes on them GT4 lap times to start with. And car 34 is the one we're after, and that is Michael Harris. You see him coming through at the moment, trying to... no, he's done. He's bailing on the lap. What about the 2:08? That'll be the last lap for a GT. No, the 1:05 will be the last lap. So Will Friedman trying then to put on another fantastic lap time as we get the helicopter shots of Will Friedman. Coming up and over the hill at the moment. And Will Friedman in towards the final corner then. What is he going to be able to do then as he comes towards the line? No improvement. And that will be Will Friedman, who should pull into the garage and be done with qualifying. As we see, the number 16's got a yellow flag. That's Dan Davis, who's a little slow. Rob Smith, though, will be the first at the final GT3 car to finish their run. And let's see what they can do in the chat. Also, if there's any other drivers or competitors from ARL, as Rob Smith stays 10th on the grid, if any competitors from ARL are in the chat, let us hear you and see how you are. As we go then to the first car, car 76. That is Straub from the ARL channel, who is racing in the GT3s on their Sunday evening. Very, very fast driver. And he's coming down the start line now to start his first flying lap. Matt White is the car behind him as there's a car in the wall. One of the Chevy Camaros there. Car 47 is then next. That's Fraser O'Brien. Pro driver here from SimPlay Motorsport. Looking to see what he can do this season. Dan Davis will then be the next man in that list when I can find the number 16. Which isn't there. It is. It's there. Going blind. There's Dan Davis, running in the orange, yellow and the black for the SimPlay race. And obviously going to be an interesting season for Dan, going for his 11th pro title this championship. There is a bit of a loose car in the background. That is the 75 of Bettison. as he moves well out the way then of the driver of car 43. That is Ramy Fernie back on the SimPlay channel for Ramy Fernie. So great to see Ramy back on the SimPlay channel and back in the car once again. The 411 is Benny Archer, one of our patrons who's going up the hill. The 441 is Hoopert. New driver, as we say good evening to tech leader at the minute. Impressive lap from Clouden, indeed it is. Hoopert then running there. And car 22 is Galindo down the back of the pack. We've also got Kozlowski on the track as well. And again, ignore M. Duffin. We are now in the commentary box this evening, but it is the 76 off Strava who's going to set the first flying lap time here then in the GT4. DJ Phil saying, looking forward to the GT3 season starting. I've been testing on the steering wheel all off season. That's great to hear from DJ Phil. And Jackson in the chat, Lucky Mouse made it. I assume you're the lucky mouse. If you are, you did make it indeed. And we've got a 1 hour race around Mount Panorama coming your way before the start of that incredible season that will be happening. And it's Straub who's going to take the end of qualifying here. As Straub comes through the final chicane then and down towards the final corner. There you go. And this could be an interesting lap for Straub. Who comes towards the line, and what lap time's he going to set? He goes and puts it on provisional pole at the moment. Matt White now beats him by 0.4 of a second, so a good lap there. Hooper's not the car we wanted. Archer, and I think it's Fraser O'Brien who's the next car to line. It was as well. Fraser O'Brien currently 5 tenths off the back of Straub, and Archer there just getting a lap time a little off the back of the pace. Car 16 and Dan Davis goes well around the mountain, and that proves how well he goes. He goes provisional pole at the moment. What about Ramy Fernie then, who is coming towards the line to put a lap time on the board? He goes currently 18th fastest. The 441 of Hoopert is out there. I didn't see John Gooday out there. He must have just came out the pit lane. And here is Hoopert then coming through the final corner. Car 22's on an invalid lap as Hoopert goes into 18th place. That of Galindo. We'll keep our eye on car 79 of Ian Best coming up in just a moment's time. And Ian Best goes 21st at the minute. Car 75 of Bettison. What will he be able to do on that valid lap time at the moment? Coming down then towards Murray's Corner. The final turn here at Bathurst. Oh, Jackson is Fitzy. There we go. And good evening to Benedict Varga as well as Bettison. Didn't get a lap time on the board. Car 76. Back then to Straub to see what Straub can do. Kozlowski still in the pit lane. Bettison not done a lap. John Gooday not done a lap. Neither has Galindo. We'll be looking forward to see this race developing here. It's going to be a tricky one tonight as Straub stays where he is. Matt White doesn't improve any either. Car 47 of Fraser O'Brien. This could be an interesting lap. Good evening to Andrew and LR Andy here. He's back in the GT4s. He's looking forward to getting that underway, I'm sure. Here comes Archer. Car in front. Not seeing any changes. A few differences in lap time just improving, but no positions changing at the moment. 75 will be the next one on a lap. Car 8 of John Gooday. That was John Gooday in the silver. He got a lap time on the board. He's up into 18th, but it's car 75. We need to keep our eye on the Bettison. Currently on a flying lap out there at the moment. So let's see what Bettison can do. He's coming down the back straight now to start to get closer and closer to the end of his flying lap. That'll be his first lap time on the board, so he'll want to make sure it's a pretty good lap here because he'll want to get a decent lap time on the board and start up the grid position. Although saying that, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world starting at the back around Bathurst. There is 2 minutes left to qualifying, so drivers will be getting final laps in on the board. And as he enters through the chase now in towards Murray's, he comes once again. Car 22 and car 43. So that's Remy Fernie and Galindo who have invalidated their current lap times. Whoa! There we go. Whoa! Huge moment for Bettison off the final curb and barrel rolls into the catch fencing, caught live on stream. That was a huge moment for him as we can go back to Straub now coming down the Conrod straight. That was an absolute huge moment for Bettison there. If this goes well, we should do a Bathurst 1000. Hey, I'd be well up for that. Maybe even a Bathurst 12 hour in just the GT3s, as Beto says, oops, in the chat. That was a huge moment for Beto there, caught on stream. That was absolutely spectacular to see, as here comes Straub towards the line. Any improvement, finds a 10th, but can't find any more than that. Fraser O'Brien will be next up, as Chris has said. Wow, in capitals there. I'm guessing the track after this race now will be going to Brands Hatch. No, it was staying as Bathurst until Thursday night. Good evening to Will Friedman and Benedict Varga. Oh my God, as Fraser O'Brien goes up to 15th place ahead of Matt White. John Gooday coming towards the line. John Gooday's looked pretty quick in some of the slower formats of the cars. The BMW M2s I've recently been seeing John Gooday in. John Gooday has looked really handy in them and has been quite the surprise package, I think, for many. Let's go on board with Straub and just take us through a lap of the Mount Panorama circuit then, as Will Friedman said that he messed up the quali, and Benedict Vargas saying that is rare in ACC. Well, in the free practice that I was doing before jumping into the comms box, I rolled the car 3 times. So, yeah. So this is coming up now towards Skyline, and as you start to come down the hill towards the S's and then into the dipper, which is this bit right here, as it dips once more on you, and you get as close to the walls as you possibly dare. And then you come down towards the Forest Elbow in a real crucial corner, because it wants to lock up on you, keep it as tight through there as you can. Now down the Conrod straight you come, and this is huge to get this absolutely right, sorry, to get that section before absolutely right. You want a good run out the elbow to make sure the straight you can take as full advantage as possible on, and last lap times are being completed as we speak. As it stands, here is Straub then, who's going to come to look to take maybe another couple of tenths out of Fraser O'Brien, Dan Davis and Matt White. Straub dropped down to 17th place, 4th in class. We will run through the classes momentarily then. As towards the line comes Straub, no improvement there. He stays in 17th place, P4 in category at the minute. Fraser O'Brien coming towards the line. What last lap time will he put on the board for us? He's going to return to the pit lanes. That is him done. And now Archer, bit of damage to the front of his car. He's going to stay on the track here. Galindo's going to try and put a lap time on the board as well. And we've still got... no, Remy Fernie's done in 20th. And here comes Archer then to the line, stays 25th. What about Galindo? Gets a lap time on the board, and it's good enough for 22nd. Kozlowski did not qualify, neither did... that's it, because Braga we've had to lose because of internet problems as well. So we go to the timetable. There you can see your GT3 grid. One driver missing from this one, and it is Clouden who takes that pole position from Tardock, Silf, Overtaker, Friedman, Harris, Rook, Ramsell, Millington, Smith, Horvath, Gazaby, Greaves and Marshall. And in the GT4s again, a couple of drivers missing from the GT4 lineup tonight. In terms of me and Braga not racing, and one already missing, so we're down 3 drivers there. So Kozlowski will start from the back. He didn't set a lap time, but it's Dan Davis with pole from O'Brien, White, Straub, Gooday, Hoopert, Fernie, Archer, Galindo, Best, Bettison bringing up the rear. And that is all she wrote for there then. What an interesting start to the race this is going to be. One-hour race with a pit stop, and that is a mandatory 25-second stationary time. And this could be an interesting race to keep our eyes on as we go through here tonight. Let's wait and see what will happen. Clouden at the front for the GT3 cars. Through the mountain.
10 seconds.
They all did qualifying very, very well. Everybody listened. All pitted when they needed to return to the pit lane. So qualifying was done. Very good. And now let's see how they go about this week. The microphone has decided to fall off its stand. We'll put it back on. So let's see how they go about their race this evening then. This could be an absolute classic race tonight. It really could be a, you know, one of them fantastic Bathurst moments that we get to see on the SimPlay channel. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. If we can load up the stats pages for this Bathurst circuit, just kind of give you an insight of drivers that's raced at SimPlay Motorsport for a while. Where is the Bathurst circuit for us to take these stats from? The most race wins that we've seen around this track goes the way of Unorthodox with 3 race wins. He's also got 2 poles to his name. Obviously the stats count for official competition races, not special events like today. So it's fascinating to see Dan do very well there. Overtaker, he's been around for a while. He's got a pole and a win around this circuit. We then have to look at likes of Smoky Devils taking a pole around here. Just trying to see who else's name's on that list that's racing tonight. Don't think there's anybody else on that list. Cloudon's never taken a pole or a win around this circuit. So this is going to be huge for Cloudon tonight to potentially get something out of this. And just to put a foot in the right direction, really, this race should be awesome. Bathurst is always awesome. Indeed it is, Benny, who could be, I believe. Rumours are that Benny could be making a return this season, but we'll keep that under wraps at the moment. And we'll see what happens. But could Benny make a return? The last time we saw Benedict Varga on the channel, he was in a Jag for the Endurance Series. The last time he took part in Pro, he was in a Jag. So, could Benny come back? And will he bring the Jag? DJ Phil reckons there's going to be a massive crash in the first corner. Well, let's see what happens throughout this race tonight. Good evening to everybody who is in the chat with us as well. If you haven't done so already, please hit that thumbs up button, the bell to be notified when we go live, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Good evening to Peaceful Explosion, who says, now the 3rd or 4th corner. My return is scheduled for next week, don't you worry. So keep your eyes out for Benedict Varga. Could we then see, if Benedict Varga's Pro-Am, could we then see PN Motorsport join back and get the Jag partnership back going and get 2 Jags out on the Pro-Am grid? That would be absolutely awesome to see. That would be absolutely mega. I'd thoroughly enjoy that. Go on, PN. Make a comeback, as some great drivers once say. Make a comeback. Oh, I have pressed the wrong button. Cannot return to the pit lane for the time being. So let's try and find Cloudon as quick as we possibly can. There we go. Let's see what we can do here then. Jag's not scrapped just yet. Right then, we are getting ready to be green and go here at Bathurst. I was waiting for you to comment, Fury's granddad. We'll be making a return to Bathurst in the season. It's a drive-through penalty for car 76. And as we head down towards turn 1 already, let's get back into the on-screen camera. That is Stroud with a drive-through penalty in the Chevrolet. Down towards Overtaker, who's currently side-by-side with Sylph as they come through the first corner. All clean getaway from everybody so far. As we just tumble back down, everybody seems to have got away relatively cleanly. No spinners, but Overtaker still side-by-side with Sylph. Will Friedman is looking on in the background. This is on board. We've just got to get the cameras working again. Now we've been into there. This is Will Friedman's view then on board his car. That is what he sees at the moment coming up the mountain for Will Friedman as they come through hard on the brakes with this hour's race. Through the mountain they all go at the moment, down towards some of the GT4 battles at the front. Let's go to John Gooday. As you can see, a couple of the GT4s already on the back of the GT3 cars who are just little courses through that first sector. It's Dan Davis who leads from Matt White in that GT4 category with Fraser O'Brien, Hooper, John Gooday. Then it is Stroud with that drive-through penalty. Ramey Fernie, Galindo, Best, Archer, Kalowski, and then Bettison bringing up the rear. Had a big roll early on in the race, but out front in the GT3s, in the Ford Mustangs, it is Jamal Cloudham from Tardock with Overtaker, Sylph, Will Friedman. Then it is Ben Rook, the new SimPlay Racing driver out there this season. He'll be part of the Team Audio Sports team, one of very few teams confirmed this season for that pro category. There's Millington. Harris has been overtaken by Robert Ramsell. There's Rob Smith with Gazaby, aka Old Sim Racer. Hovrath there in P12 with Sam Greaves 13. Dan Davis obviously leading that way in the GT4 category, but going back to the front of the GT3s as we try and keep our eyes on certain gaps that's developing here. This is John Gooday, who's had a good start. He's lost out to Straub at the moment. On board with John Gooday though, just coming down the Conrad straight, a little lift through the right hand kink you see him have there as Straub's having a look up the inside of what will be that of Hoopert there then. And sorry, no, that is Hoopert who is in front of his Straub behind John Gooday. So that is Fraser O'Brien, apologies, ahead of John Gooday. Do we see Straub coming to the pit lane? Yes, we do. In he comes. So John Gooday now can try and look to attack the back of Hoopert even more already from the start. The Jag is in the museum now, says Benedict Varga. And yay for Ben, says Chris in the chat. But it's Jamal Cloudham fastest lap in the GT3 Ford Mustang with Overtaker. Look like we're side by side, defending from Sylph, currently in P3 as he came across the line. He stays in P3 at the moment, and Sylph and Friedman trying to put some pressure on him. This on board with Sylph then coming up the hill, and you can just see how tight it gets up here, and these big Ford Mustangs cannot put a foot wrong around here, and so far so good for these drivers coming up through the hill. At the minute, it's been a great start to this race. There is Friedman. There is then Ben Rook. Millington with Harris and Ramsell. So a bit of a change around there. Rob Smith is now been overtaken by Gasby. And Greaves just off the back then of Horvath in the Ford Mustangs. Matt White keeping Dan Davis honest. Matt White was second place in the Chevrolet, in the Audi GT4 event a month ago with the GT2s and the GT3s. There is Hooper, who is still behind. Fraser O'Brien, a little slide coming out of the corner and still sliding a little bit more. John Gooday's eyes will be lighting up, but it's difficult to overtake around here because Kozlowski is trying to get onto the back of Galindo, but there's a yellow flag between Galindo and that is the car 79 of Ian Best. Damage to the pair of them then coming up the hill, but Kozlowski now on the back of what looks to be Ramey Fernie, and that could spell disaster. Where is Straub? He's done his drive-through. He's already passed 3 cars, and car 22 of Galindo has returned to the pit lane, so hopefully he'll get back out there. But Ramey Fernie, great to see him back on the SimPlay Racing, on the SimPlay Motorsport channel. Great to see him back as Sylph now still on the back of Overtaker. And this is huge. Now, Cloudham's lost the lead of this race. So what has happened to Jamal Cloudham then? He's lost the lead. And there he is now down in second place. And here's Overtaker with Friedman having a look on Sylph. And it is just a look up the inside. There's Ben Rook in the background. Currently sat P6, just waiting patiently. Harris is starting to put pressure on the back now of Millington. And if we go into that final place for the GT3s, Hovrath and Greaves going up the inside. Lovely looking colour on that Ford Mustang of the FBR colours of Sam Greaves, and he moves up to 12th place. He can head after now. of Rob Smith. Then down the order we go. John Gooday's had a moment coming out the final corner. Yellow flag flies for him there. Bit of damage to the front. He's lost out to Ramy Fernie. Hooper carries on. Fernie goes through. And then it's Kozlowski now who's got a bit of momentum over John Gooday so far. And with 5 minutes gone in this race, already a lot of chaos happening at the start of it. Galindo goes a lap down, but Drama's out front in the opening laps then of this pack, and Overtaker's pulled away from Sylph here. Sylph's got Friedman and Ben Rook right on the back. Let's go on board with Friedman so we can see a bit of Ben and a bit of Sylph as well, the middle car in this pack. Now, this is going to be an interesting race to see what Will Friedman can do. We saw him in that GT4 Porsche last year, was a fantastic competitor in that series. Overtaker's putting a bit of pressure on Jamal Clouden here, so over the last lap it's not been the lap for Clouden or for John Gooday, losing the lead, and now Overtaker's, or was putting some pressure, he's not now. So far so good in this race at the start. No major moments for drivers. Back down to Matt White. Benny's waiting for the crash, says Chris. Matt White is currently on the back of us. Ian Best is now into the pits. He drove in. And Matt White trying to stay on the back of Dan Davis here. Currently half a second separating with Fraser O'Brien down in third. Bit of damage to the front of Fraser O'Brien. And Kozlowski here on the back, or was on the back of John Gooday, but John Gooday's managed to start to pull away a little bit. There's Archer. Straub's coming through after his drive-through penalty, and there is Bettison as well. And I believe, no, I don't think we have lost a driver actually, apologies for that one. Robert Ramsell now putting pressure on his teammates in the GT3s and in the GT4s this season. Stephen Millington got a lot of damage to his car on that front end. They've got Gasby with him as well, aka old sim racer from last season. And Ramsell goes through. It looks like Gasby's going to try and follow him through here, and he does indeed up the inside. Ramsell goes a little bit wide, and here comes Gasby side by side with Ramsell up in towards turn 3 now. He's going to have to go the longer way around at turn 3, and Gasby might just try and do it. Great camera shot there to show them a bit of contact made between the two. Now Gasby's going to have the inside line, but lets Ramsell keep hold of the place for the time being. Millington just bouncing off the wall a little bit there. He carries on in this race at the moment. Will Friedman still on the back of that of Sylph. Ben Rook just dropping off the back a little bit, but they're also gaining on the rear of Clouden. Tardock pulling away. Dan Davis just leaving Matt White a little bit in his dust for the time being. We'll keep our eyes on that fight. I say that, Matt White's just pulled the gap down a little bit. So on board with Matt White now. Very bouncy car, the Chevrolet, as it comes up through the first section of the circuit now. Dan very wide through there, onto the gravel a little bit. He's going to have to gather that back up. Matt White not able to get enough of a run alongside Dan, wasn't close enough. I suppose coming down through the S's and then through the dipper, this is going to be a huge moment. Before entering the Forest Elbow, Dan taking that tighter line over Matt White at the moment. And Matt White just able to carry on his way, pleasantly going about his business at the minute is Matt White. Great to see the ARL chief out there so far. What's this? What's happening down the back here? Millington's now lost out to Rob Smith. He's got Hovath. No, he hasn't. Sorry, he's got Sam Greaves on the back of him. Sylph now has been set the fastest lap of the race, and look at these 5 for the lead of this race. Nearly 6 with Ben Rook in this battle. This is awesome. There's the leaders all coming through. Then Ben's just a little further back than that, but he's not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Back down to Dan Davis and that of Matt White. Nothing happening at the moment. All nice and quiet, but for Overtaker, there's Sylph, there's Friedman. And this is looking back, look, from Clouden. And there you can see the 4 of them. Any one mistake could really cost any driver around this circuit. It will be a real big error if they wasn't able to do so. Go White, says Dad JC in the chat. He's putting the pressure on Dan Davis. That's looking back from Jamal Clouden though, with Overtaker and Sylph side by side now with Will Friedman. Down towards the chase they come. Here comes Friedman up the inside. Does he have the hold the inside for the next part? He does indeed. Will Friedman is through. And the 96, that is Sam Greaves, has been disqualified for driving in the wrong direction. So I'm not sure what's happened there, but Sam Greaves has been disqualified for driving in the wrong direction. That may have been to turn the car around. And that is the end of his night then. Matt White here, trying to keep that pressure on Dan Davis. Dan just looks like he's pulled away a little bit. We'll go back to that fight between Friedman and Sylph, as they've all started to really pull away from Ben Ruck now. And these two have started to be gapped by Overtaker and Clouden due to their little scrap they're having. And a good little fight here as well, because Lowski's on the back of Gooday once again. We've got Archer trying to gain onto the back of Straub. In fact, Straub's got past Archer, so he's on a mission to catch back up to Gooday and Kozlowski. Hovrath already in the pits. That is damage to the car for Hovrath. So with a pit window in this race, he's going to have to pit twice, and that could spell disaster for him. Overtaker was half second behind Clouden. He's not anymore. Sylph still trying to get onto the back then of Will Friedman. And they're back down in GT4s, Matt White and Dan Davis. But here is Kozlowski and John Gooday. I must say, John Gooday normally runs the blue and green or green and black or whatever it is for the Greasy Bandits colours. I'm a big fan of this silver, silvery grey that's on the car. Huge fan of that. I think that looks fantastic at the moment. And I'm a real big fan of that livery, to be fair. It is very nice. Dan Davis then still hanging on in there over Matt White. This is looking back from Matt Chevrolet. We'll jump back to Clouden, because look at Clouden's gap there. That is a GT4 car staying off the racing line. That is car 22, who will then rejoin safely. As FBR Whitcomb, Sam was involved in an accident, and it deemed he was driving in the wrong direction when he wasn't. Frustrated he is, to say the least. Well, that's a shame for Sam. And obviously I don't think there's a lot we can do about the disqualification, because it will be until the session ends. So that is Sam done for the night. I can only assume that he is absolutely gutted. But Sam will be back in the championship. Don't you worry about that. He's a fan favourite, I reckon, this season. We're going to have Lexi on the comms throughout the Pro-Am Championship. And I'm going to be sat there watching while doing the stream labs and make sure that everything's working for Lexi. I won't be on the comms this season. I'm going to be watching on for Sam. I think Sam's one of the favourites this season. I think Sam looks brilliant. This is Clouden though, with his fight with Overtaker so far, and that of Friedman and Sylph. And this fight's just been epic at the moment. Oh, and this is the tricky bit now. Blue flags are waving. That is a GT4. Now, the rule is you cannot lap the car on the downhill section. They've got it done just as they head downhill. They've all got to be patient. I think that was very well done from Best to get out of the way. But look at the leaders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the lead of this race all together. This is a fantastic scrap in this race, still with 46 minutes left to go. And car 75 of Bettison's about to be lapped here. So this is a huge moment in this race. Overtaker looks like he's getting a little closer to Clouden. Clouden as well is getting a little closer to the back of Tardock. Look at this, fantastic racing at the moment at the front of this Ford Mustang pack. Great little fight here. Clouden's having a look to the outside of Tardock. Tardock comes across to take the racing line. Clouden wasn't alongside, so that is fine. Blue flag still flying. This is where the drivers have got to be careful of these blue flags coming down the mountain. Especially here then, as Friedman's just had a look on Overtaker there a little bit. As we go back to Dan Davis and Matt White, they are still as close as they've been. Hoopert and O'Brien are getting pretty close to each other now as well. So this is great to see these two going at it. Sliding their way through the top of the mountain. As they start to come down, Remy Fernie is got himself ahead of Kozlowski. In fact, no, John Gooday's got himself for Remy Fernie. So Gooday's been able to find the move. Straub's within 7.5, so he's starting to come on him. And Ramsell's now into the pit lane. So let's go back to that of Overtaker, who's got ahead of Jamal Clouden. So I'm not sure where that's happened, but he's got ahead of Clouden. And now Will Freeman's putting the pressure on Jamal. And that's just allowed, once again, Tardock just to stretch his legs a little bit here. And just pull that little bit further in front of this chasing pack of 4 cars. But Overtaker now ahead of Clouden as Tardock looks to make a move up the inside there, coming down. No, that would have been very, very brave. Clouden goes a little deep. And Tardock's just got to wait patiently at the moment. As Ramsell's still in that pit lane. Dan Davis could overtake him here for position. As Dan Davis comes round to the line with Matt White. And Ramsell still not moving yet from the pit lane then. But this is a great scrap at the moment. Now what's happened to Overtaker? Missed that just I was looking at the timing screen. Overtaker's now ended up behind these 3. Bit of damage to the front, so maybe wide at the elbow. If anybody saw that in the chat, let me know what happened. But Overtaker there then. Now just starting to struggle a little bit. As Clouden defending from Freedman. Heavy into Murray's corner. That could compromise his run out of it. Sylph looking for a move as well here. And look at this. This is on board with Sylph. This is brilliant racing now already here at Bathurst. Another blue flag's going to start to fly in a moment. And now look. The 4 Mustangs have to wait, and Overtaker could lose out here. Oh, that GT4's on the grass, gets back on the track now. Overtaker could lose out with this damage, but with that pit window, it's going to be hard as Robert Ramsell comes out the pits. He's behind that of the 75 of Bettison, so he's down in 21st place. So Robert Ramsell, work to do for him. And look at these camera angles as they all come back up the hill, back down to Fraser O'Brien and Hooper here then. Hooper right on the back of O'Brien in the GT4 class. Having a good little outing at the moment. As they come onto the back straight, Dan Davis has that gap over a second now to Matt White in this race. As Hooper now has a look on O'Brien. Down the straight they come. You just see that front end damage on O'Brien's car. It's just going to possibly cost him a little bit in a straight line. And yet, Tuck's back in behind Hooper already. So Hooper moves up into P3. And we can head back up. Overtaker. You can just tell that damage to his car is massively affecting him. Freeman and Clouden and Sylph now have absolutely dropped him. But Freeman now going on the defensive. Good evening to Alpin in the chat. As that is the leader putting a lap on Straub there. Not on Straub, sorry. As they come through into turn 1. Next they've got a lap that of Remy Fernie. So Straub's gaining on Remy Fernie. He's also lost out to Kozlowski. DJ fella, I would like to wish good luck to the new Pro-Am commentators team for Wednesday night. Can't wait to listen back to it. And look at this, Jamal Clouden caught out there by Remy Fernie. And that's allowed Freeman and Sylph to get through. So what has happened there to Jamal Clouden? The back markers have cost him a little bit. That's allowed Straub onto the back of Remy Fernie as well. And look at Overtaker. He's just got to sit painfully and patiently behind these two. This is putting Ben Rook and that of Harris right onto the back of him, while the two GT4s have a little squabble. Overtaker's now bounced off the wall again, and he's had to settle behind the two of them. Sadly, Alpine this year will not be any endurance racing due to family commitments from myself, the birth of my second child in a couple of weeks' time. we're just not able, we don't have the staff to get an endurance calendar out, so that might make a return for 2026. We do apologise for that, but that will not be able to make a return. There's just not the staff we hope to have had to get the endurance bits in place. But Overtaker now, huge damage to his car, and this has put Ben Rook right on the back of him, and Overtaker again has to be patient down the mountain, as does Ben, as does Harris, and all waited patiently, but Overtaker there couldn't do anything really. He was stuck behind that of Straub and Fernie as they were side by side having a good fight, and that paid to Ben. And look at that, Ben Rook, the damage to Overtaker huge at the moment. Ben Rook drove past him like he was standing still, and Ben Rook moves up yet another place into P5. Michael Harris will be the next man to try and have a look. Hopefully next year will be better, buddy. With hopefully a bit more staff members to get an endurance race. There is a 24-hour race coming though in May, so keep your eyes out for that one. All will be started to be announced very, very soon in May. Me and Dan have got to speak with Paul Williams about a few things as Michael Harris goes straight on. Where's Gasby? Nowhere near at the moment. In fact, he's got the 5:01. That is Ramsell, who is a lap down some of the GT3 cars, going to try and make his way through the field. So now Ben Rook can pull away from Overtaker in this. And Silph's lost out a bit to Friedman, but Cloudon's still on the back of him at the moment. Let's check on the GT4s then. The leads in GT4s, Dan Davis, 1.3 clear of Matt White. In fact, Matt White looks like he's dropped even further back to Dan than 1.3. Can't see any damage on the car, but that gap does look significantly bigger at the moment. Just going to wait for Dan to come through that sector time, which is quite a way away, so we'll leave that for the time being. But Remy Fernie has now been passed by Straub. Straub's 7.3 off the back of Kozlowski, who's not challenging John much at the moment. Let's go back to Jamal Cloudon. As we can see here, Silphlook being held by that of Hoopert coming down the hill. No, sorry, that's Fraser O'Brien coming down the hill. And this is crucial for these GT3s to just be patient. This could allow Jamal to get a run on that of Silph at the minute. Just had it from the leader as well. Tordock got hold by that of Hoopert, and that's allowed Will Friedman onto the back of him. Silph and Cloudon have now put the lap on Fraser O'Brien. So the back markers at the minute as John Gooday stays online and keeps out of Ben Rook's way. And here comes Overtaker to put the lap on John Gooday as well. So the front three packs here in GT3 just being held slightly and have just had to alter what they're doing coming down the hill. But Friedman now on the back of the leader, and Jamal Cloudon now well up in there for second place. Where's Harris? He's not far off the back. He's got to clear John Gooday. Dan to White is 3.4 seconds. So Matt White definitely had a moment somewhere. It was best 3 laps down. Galindo 4 laps down. Still in this race though. Anything can happen at the moment. And Will Friedman now starting to put the pressure on at the front then of this pack here. And he's having a look to go side by side with that of Tardock at the moment, and now tucks back in because he sees the GT4 of Matt White, who stays very wide. In fact, he's in the wall. Matt White in the wall at turn 2. As there's Sif, there's Cloudon. And who is third place? Hooper, 6.4 behind. The pit window will be opening. Not sure when. So it's a 10-minute pit window, so I reckon it's going to be opening in around about the next minute time. This is a battle for your race lead. That could help Dan Davis out in terms of the GT4s at the moment. Especially with Matt White hitting the wall at turn 2, but still a long way to go here at Bathurst. Anything can happen, and probably will happen around this circuit. It's a tough track. Back to Silph, and he's got Jamal Cloudon with him as they've just put a lap on the leader of GT4, Dan Davis. So it's took 25 minutes to get a lap on them here. Car 21 is in the pits. Car 21 is Kozlowski, and I believe he's returned to the pit lane, so he's going to start tumble down the order. Great to have SimPlay Racing action back. SimPlay Racing action back on YouTube to whet the appetite for the upcoming season. Indeed it is. We can't wait for the season to be going, and We may have to get Paul Williams in the chat to discuss maybe a bit of the charity 24-hour race that's coming up. We have limited information at the moment. We can tell you it is for one of two cancer charities here in the United Kingdom. That is coming up on the 1st May bank holiday weekend here in the United Kingdom as well, which will be the weekend of the 2nd, 3rd and 4th, I believe it is, of sorry, the 3rd, 4th and 5th of May. So the race will be taking part on the Saturday into the Sunday, with a qualifying which we're going to propose to be on the Friday night, where we announce one driver to do the qualifying that night. Right, Michael Harris is on the back of Overtaker, who's just started to lose out to Ben Ruck a little bit. We're going down to the Pro-Ams. Robert Ramsell's just trying to clear a few of them as he's just got past out of Straub to make his way back up the order. And Rob Smith, the first man into the pit lane with the pit window open. Ben and Dan going up the mountain, says Chris in the chat, Ben's dad. And, well, two of the SimPlay racing drivers, but going to be running under the Team Audio Sport name this season. As Overtaker there right on the grass, Dan and Harris. Now got to be careful, and Dan, well, he's going to be tight to get out of the way. Overtaker's not going to want to see this. This could help Harris down here. The ruling is you cannot lap a car down the hill. I believe Ben's got a bit of traffic in front of him. That looks like it's somebody who stayed very tight, and Ben's able to clear him round the outside. Dan Davis now, and Overtaker still not really anywhere to go as he squeezes through the middle of two GT4 cars. Harris now tries to dart his way through the two as well, and all goes through relatively cleanly. Thankfully, no dramas there. Will Overtaker pit, but yeah, very interesting for that 24-hour race. It's going to be a belter, to say the least. As here comes Harris now, right on the Overtaker. Rob Smith has finished his pit stop. 25-second wait time. Overtaker a little wide of the first apex, now on the grass a little bit. This could just help that of Harris try and come through a little bit here. And Overtaker comes into the pit lane then. So Will Friedman trying to still attack the back of Tardock, but he's just run out of pace a little. He's just, sorry, lost a bit of pace. Silf then Clouden, Ben Rook's P5, Harris is in 6th, Gasby is 7th when he comes past Overtaker. Then I believe it is Rob Smith from Stephen Millington. Dan Davis then leads GT4s and is in the top 11 of GT3. Matt White into the pit lane. Hooper will go through into 12th at the moment from Robert Ramsell in 14th place. John Gooday's in the pit. Straub stays out. Then it's Remy Fernie who's decided to box. Here then is Horvath, who is trying to come through, and he's got to try and make up places. Archer is then there. Bettison has finished his pit stop. Best has finished his pit stop, and Galindo trying to carry on his way at the moment. So Best back into the pits, but Friedman within 2/10 of the race leader Tardock. In fact, no, he's not. He's ahead of Tardock in the lead of this race. So not sure when that happened, but Will Friedman has taken the lead here of this race. And what a drive at the minute from the Frenchman, as he comes through to put a lap there on Rob Smith, down in 9th place at the moment. But obviously everybody still got to pit. And now Tardock over a second behind. So did Tardock make a mistake? Let's see if there's any damage on his car. Yeah, it looks like a bit of front end damage. So he's definitely hit something. Millington here behind Hooper for position, can we just point out. Hooper yet to pit. Millington has pitted. And at the moment, this is Millington who will now clear Hooper for position. And there's not many GT4 battles happening on the track. Matt White's dropped behind. Nobody really in terms of the GT4 fight. He's still quite a way ahead of John Gooday. But in terms of the GT4s that have pitted, he's not really dropped behind anybody because Hooper's not pitted, neither Straub at the moment. So Matt White could still be a net second place here, as Dan Davis is going to keep going in this race. Back to Silf then, because now Silf has got some damage to the car, and Jamal Clouden's found a way past Silf. So a lot of these drivers, overtakes aren't necessarily happening on their own, but a lot of these drivers making mistakes that's allowing other drivers through. So Silf now has damage. 5 minutes remaining in the pit window. That's Jamal Clouden who's gone very wide. He's now hit the wall, and Silf will come back through on Jamal. So a lot of drivers having their own incidents that's losing them time and positions in this race. And Will Friedman leads by nearly a second over Tardok in this one. And car 87 down the order. That is Horvath, who will not pit this time around. What about the 75? That is Bettison, who has pitted. Car 12 is Matt White, who has pitted as we are halfway through the race. Overtake is the next car to the pits who has pitted. So is John Gooday. And then after that it is the 208 of Will Friedman, yet to pit at the moment. But plenty of drama here on the mountain tonight. And this is absolutely fantastic. So Friedman stays out. Tardok's going to bail into the pit lane. What about Silf? Is he going to pit and think about going for an undercut? He does. Clouden stays out. Ben's got a little couple of scuff marks on the front of his Mustang. He's going to box as well. What about Harris? Harris also going to come in. Gasby isn't the next call. That was the 43 of Fernie. The 47 of Fraser O'Brien, who's pitted. The 411 of Benny Archer yet to pit. So we'll see if Benny comes in. But this is Gasby then. One of the last GT3s to pit. As Robert Ramsell's actually on the back of Stephen Millington, but Robert Ramsell's going to come in for his pit stop. They're just up the road from these two. From that of Gasby, sorry. Dan Davis is ahead of Gasby. And everybody's still got a pit here. Gasby is in. Dan Davis stayed out. Hoopert stayed out. Hoopert's gained on Dan Davis a little bit here, so I wonder if Dan's just made a mistake somewhere. The 76 of Straub. They've got to make sure they be careful here, because they've got to get back round to the pit lane. And Straub's going to pit. The bottom drivers are in the pits as well. What about Horvath now? Horvath. Ben locked up and just caught the wall early on. It didn't look major damage. Did just look like it was a scuff as Horvath enters the pit lane now then. So Friedman and Clouden, you're top two, but Tordok and Silf did pit. And I'll tell you what, Silf didn't repair the damage there. Tordok did. No, he didn't either, so came out pretty close. I wonder if Tordok changed tyres in this race. That is a GT4 slow to get away. I believe that was best. Slow to get away. So Gasby in the pits. Did Friedman come in? He's not yet at the pit lane. Friedman's going to go for one more here. So he's going to run that risk of one more lap. What about Jamal? Jamal's close to the cusp, and yeah, I think that's a sensible decision from Jamal. This is the top battle, though, in the Ford Mustang race at the moment. A couple of blue flags flying. That is, one of them is for Hoopert here there then. Dan Davis just further up the road to look at Hoopert. Look at the patience he's got to have for these GT3s just behind him as he runs out the Forest Elbow. And Tordok and Silf both come flying through now. It's a great tee there. Dan Davis is going to have to pit, as is Hoopert. Will Friedman's ran the risk of an extra lap here. So he wants to hope and pray he can get back around. I assume Dan's going to come in, and I assume Hoopert's going to come in. Yeah, Dan's straight in. Hoopert's going to come in as well here, I do believe. Indeed he is. Where's Robert Ramsell? He's coming out the Forest Elbow now. So it is just Will Friedman at the minute. And this is the fight for possibly net second. In fact, it is net second because Clouden's only just coming out the pits. Where's Ben Rook? Ben Rook is going to get past Jamal Clouden. So Jamal loses out to Ben, and now that's put Ben up to P4. Jamal's down to P5. Ben's just got to hang in out here over Jamal then in the rest of this race. 25 minutes left, but Silf and Tardok going side by side, going at it up the mountain. Did Friedman make it into pit lane? He's not there yet. Look at this epic fight between these two, though. Tardok manages to stay ahead for the time being. Whoa, nearly brushing the wall there. race winner in the GT2s a couple of weeks ago in the Audi event, was leading here today.
Pit window is now closed.
As the pit window closes, Freeman is in. So that is absolutely A-OK for Will Freeman. It's Tardock managing to stay ahead of Silf at the moment. Back to Ben Rook and Clouden. No real GT4 fights happening out there. Dan Davis, though, I've just noticed. Apologies, got a stop-go penalty. So Dan Davis then, stop-go penalty to his name. That'll be for speeding in the pit lane, and that is going to be huge because Matt White and Hooper then are now fighting for the net lead of this race. So Tardock coming through. Freeman's done his pit stop. He's coming out the pits now. Freeman is away, and Silf has got past Tardock here. Clouden just off the back of Ben Rook, 7 tenths of a second. Clouden needs to find that time, but Matt White wants to try and clear Hooper, but has got a GT3 Mustang in between him and his fellow competitor. But Dan Davis, stop-go penalty with 23 minutes left to go in this race. Well, that is huge. That is huge. Now where's Will Freeman? Already through a couple of corners. This is Tardock and Silf trying to put a lap on Fraser O'Brien. Can't do so at the minute. Only one of them got through. And now through goes the other, Ben Rook. Still ahead of Jamal. That gap's just come down slightly. A couple more hundredths. But what about that Matt White fight? This could be good for John Gooday possibly, and Straub. Straub may get back on the podium here. Dan stays out. And has got 2 laps to do his stop-go penalty. Yellow flag on the hill. That is Ramy Fernie then. He's got back going just as they head downhill. And he's got that over of Tardock and Silf just behind him. He moves out of the way straight away. He's got big damage to his car. This could be good for Straub and Hooper then to... Straub and Gooday to maybe get themselves on the podium. As Matt White lost a bit of time. Back to that Ben Rook and Clouden fight. 6 tenths of a second. Clouden just hasn't got enough in him at the moment to get close enough. And in fact, Clouden's lost 3 tenths of a second in that middle sector. Tardock and Silf, 4 tenths between each other. White was gaining on the back of Hooper, who's only 2.8 off the back of Dan. So for Dan to, you know, give himself as big an opportunity as he can, he's got to get a move on here to try and pull away. And what we'll do is we'll leave you in the capable hands of Jamal Clouden while we take a very, very quick toilet break. we are back then, and Jamal Cloudon's got really close to the back of Ben here over that lap, that Corsa laps or two, so he's really got close to Ben Rook. He's having a look, just showing his nose on the inside, thinks better of it does Jamal, and he's not going to do it there. What about Sylph and Tardock? They're still going at it at the moment. Dan's only 1.7 clear of Hoopit here, so not being able to pull away like he'd wanted, but this fight between Ben Rook and Jamal Cloudon is an epic one at the moment. We've seen them have some good fights in the Pro Series, and this will be another epic fight once again on the circuit. And what a chance for Ben Rook and Jamal here to have a bit of racing experience against each other just before the Pro Series starts in 2 weeks' time. Car 22 has had a moment at the chase. That is Galindo's fight, who's 2 laps down on best. He's returned to the pit lane, so that'll probably be that for him in terms of the last place finish. But at the moment, Ben Rook just ahead then of Jamal Cloudon, coming back up the mountain. There you go. Ben just trying to hang on in here over Jamal Cloudon. It's going to be tough for Jamal to overtake now. So Ben can use this to his advantage just to get down the hill. Just takes his time. He's 8 seconds off the back of Tardock at the moment. Hoopit's nearly within a second of Dan, and I think Dan's got to come in. Yeah, Dan is in for that stop-go penalty. So 30 seconds he's got to be stationary for. And well, I can tell you how long that will take him. That is the equivalent of 54 seconds. He'll lose 44% of his lap around here with that drive-through penalty. Ben just pulls away from Jamal down that Conrod straight into the chase. So as we can see now, Matt White fighting for the lead over Hoopit in the GT4 category. Horvath has now got through. Straub has now passed Dan. John Gooday has now got past Dan. Where's Fraser O'Brien? He's coming down towards the chase. And Dan Davis still with time left before he can stop, as John Gooday is about to put a lap on Ramey Fernie then. Stop go cleared for Dan. So Dan got out ahead of Fraser O'Brien, and now Dan's got to try and gain onto the back now of John Gooday. That's going to be the challenge for Dan. The onboards are so intense at this track. Every single driver is performing at their maximum between these walls. It's awesome, says Benedict Vargren. We love the fact that we can bring you these shots now of the onboard cameras, whether it is the rear view like that, or you know, we get that one where you can see the driver a little bit, that one of the driver. It's just a shame that we can't get the drivers to change their overalls in terms of working that one out. There is a way you can do it, but it is so long-winded that it would take forever, so we don't tend to show the driver one. You can just tell here as well, look, this is under a blue flag condition. That, I believe, is Millington in front. Just got a bit of damage to his rear. Ben's just now in front of this. And coming down, if you really want to see the drivers working, we'll pick up a driver who's coming back uphill in a moment. How far was Dan behind John Gooday? 22 seconds. That's going to be tough for Dan to claw back this lap. Cloudon in the wall, said Chris there. So I was on board Ben. Cloudon, he has hit the wall hard as well. And he's down in 5th place. That could put to bed his fight with Ben then, depending on the severity of that damage. As Sylph and Tardock within a 10th of each other, putting on a show here. They're side by side now coming. Oh no, that's them putting a lap on a car. I believe that's Ben about to lap John Gooday. So there's John Gooday. Just had a Ramey Fernie, sorry. So there's John there. You see the silver car at the bottom of your screen. So he's in turn 1 now. Dan Davis only just coming towards the final corner. He's got Michael Harris. Michael Harris has been in the wall at some point or another. So he's got big damage. And Overtaker is a long way behind him. But Overtaker's got a few scuffs and scrapes, but nothing major. Oh, he has actually on that right-hand side of the car, and a bit of wing damage as well. So drivers here just struggling a little bit. Sylph then 2nd place at the moment, with Tardock coming up the hill, catching behind him 2nd and 3rd so far. And this now the closest fight on track, seeing as Ben has put the gap between him and Clouden. Now that Clouden's been in the wall, you just see that Clouden's losing time every single stage of this lap. Going up the mountain. That was John Gooday holding Ben up. You just see the work there that Ben was having to do. We'll keep it on that camera ready next time round. Let's put Clouden back on the rear of Ben. And I have to tip my hat to the GT3s who listen to the instructions in the driver briefing of don't lap cars downhill. They've not seemed too impatient. They seem patient uphill as well. And a testament to the GT4 drivers as well, who have been respectful and made it easy for these guys to know where to go. But Tardok and Sylph going at it for second place still. Will Freeman, your race leader, with Hooperts, the GT4 race leader. That is why they're pro, but some of these GT3s and GT4s are pro-am drivers, so it's fair play to all of them really, as they all get out of the way. Ben's still got Clouden within 6 tenths, but this is where Clouden's now struggling. Look with that damage. Ben's just pulled away here. Gooday to Dan's now down to 19 seconds. Was that because of Gooday being involved in being lapped up the hill? ...13 minutes, 19 seconds. That's going to be a tough ask. Straub now currently sat on the podium. John can see Straub by 3 seconds as well, so... it's not out the question yet. The other thing is Hervoth is 19 seconds behind Hoopert. So the GT4 leader has got a GT3 car sat behind White as well. So could a GT4 beat a GT3, as that was Ben. Oh, in the background, that's the first time today we've seen an incident down the hill. And I'm not sure what happened there, but that was Ben Rook and Jamal. I don't think Jamal Clouden was involved, but it was a yellow. I believe that's Ian Best, who's now moved out of the way. That's going to have slowed John down a little bit coming down the hill, but it's Ian Best who's out of the way. So where now is Dan Davis? He's been lapped by Overtaker. And John had to go slow there to avoid Best turning around. That may have put Dan a little closer to John. 15 seconds of damage for Ben now that Chris is saying. So this could have fully brought Clouden back into play then for that 4th place. So through there you go. So Dan to Gooday's down to 17.6 seconds. There's 11 minutes left. It's a long lap here, so you can gain a lot of time through the lap, and just depends on that traffic as well. Dan's got the 5:01 of Ramsell putting a lap on him soon. John Gooday. I think John is safe from Dan in this race. Personally, Clouden giving Ben a flash. I think John is safe from Dan. John's just been lapped by Harris. Next car for John will be that of Overtaker. And Dan's a bit further back, so I think John's going to be safe for P4. I think Straub safe for P3. He's pulled away a bit more, but we'll go back to Ben Rook then. DJ Phil, I'm not doing GT4 this season, just focusing on GT3. And Best hit the wall and bounced into Ben. Just a Bathurst incident. Matt Wright saying, whoa, what did I miss? Just popped out for dinner, and it's all changed. It has all changed, Matt. You've missed an absolute belter, and this now a great fight for P4 and 5. Not a lot happening in GT4s at the moment, but a great fight here. In fact, we will go down and take a quick look at Bettison and Fernie, who's had a fight. 2 laps down, the pair of them with damage. Dan Davis had a drive-through penalty. Not seen a lot of Fraser O'Brien. Just think he's had damage in the race. But interesting to see So Best bounced off the wall and went into Ben's path, is what Chris is saying in there. And so far, Ben just hanging on in there over that of Clouden, Tardock and Sylph. I think these two are good friends and teammates in the real world, because they seem to have held station in this race. And they seem to be doing that pretty well at the moment. But Ben's under pressure from Clouden already in this race. Fernie has now started to drop better since that's that one done. Dan's back up to 19 seconds to John Gooday, so I think John Gooday's got that one sorted. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting race here. Stop go penalty, car 411. That is Archer for speeding in the pit lane then. So stop go penalty in the last 9 minutes here as Ben puts a lap now on yet another GT4. That is car number 12 of Matt White, who is second place in class. Yet again, that'll be 2 second places for Matt White in a GT4 category. An interesting fight here today. Blue flags flying again, as you can lap up the hill, and Ben and Clouden get that one done, and that's a call. It's just bounced off the wall a little bit. I believe that was Benny Archer in the wall there, but Ben has got Jamal a little bit more because of that, it looks like. A lot of cars with damage in this race. Dan Davis now 21 seconds to John Gooday. John's actually gained on Straub a little bit as well, so John not giving up on this podium push here in the GT4 category. And Jamal at the minute just cannot do anything about Ben. He just cannot get close enough to make that move. So let's go down to Straub. There he is, look. A little wiggly up and over the brow of Skyline. In towards the S's now, the Dipper. There's Gooday coming through as well. Could be on for a podium here in this race. Sylph and Tardock putting on an expedition for the fans. And what a night it has been by everybody in this race so far. Great to see so many competitors out there, and as we say, so many competitors. What a stacked couple of grids we've got. We've got a 35 car GT4 grid, we've got a 34 car Pro-Am grid, and a 25 car Pro grid at the moment. What a stacked grid, couple of grids we have. Absolutely mega grids out there this season. 63 is in the pits. That's Gasby, who looks like he's returned to the pit box. Orvarth now on the back of Matt White. That is a... well, in fact, now he's ahead of Matt White. John Gooday's just lost out a little bit to Straub. So that's interesting to see there. But Ben, Rook and Clouden and Tardock and Sylph, they're the closest fights out there on the circuit. It's a battle of who blinks first between these two. One mistake from these two and that'll be the end of their race, I reckon, in this one. What a night it has been so far. The championship starts in 2 weeks' time, the 4th of February at Brands Hatch, an evening race. So we'll be going from the daylight to the dark. A great scrap here at the moment. Dan Davis is in no man's land now. Looks like he's going to be for that P5 after that stop go penalty. John's just brought the gap down a little bit. Let's go back to Ben and Clouden. Did Clouden have a look there? No, he did not. Thought better of it over Ben. Matt Wright, Clouden giving everyone a great lesson in racing respect. He's the faster car, but not making any silly moves on Rook. Indeed, he's not as he goes up the inside. But I tell you what, that could be textbook from Ben. It's not, though. It's a great move from Jamal Clouden. And Jamal Clouden there gets a great move up the inside, P4. It was great respect. You always got to think of how that car's handling Ben's car with damage as well. And Clouden now gets Ben through So Ben down to 5th, Clouden up to 4th. Lovely move from Jamal Clouden. Committed to it. Ben back in the slipstream now, though. Is this going to help him coming up towards turn 3? Let's have a look. Dipping over the hill. I don't think it's going to matter here. No, nothing so far. So we'll keep our eyes on this. It's worth keeping our eyes up front as well, because there is Hupert. Horvath is not a million miles away, but by the time he gets onto Hupert, it'll be up the mountain, so Matt White could be in here. Gooday's lost out a lot more time to Straub this lap. He's lost out nearly a second over the lap to Straub. See what it is as he crosses the line, although Gooday did have to let that through of Ramsell. Pulls a couple of tenths back here, so it's just ebbing and flowing between the two of them as Arch is in for that stop-go penalty. And Cloud now just started to pull away from Ben. There's Sylph and Tardok still going at it. Up and over the hill. Indeed it cannot, Paul. I am so looking forward to this season. It's going to be fantastic. It really is going to be fantastic. So the stop-go should be cleared for Benny Archer now. On the 208, well, Will Friedman, your race leader in the GT3 Ford Mustang class, has been absolutely brilliant in this one. He's been fantastic. He's had to work hard for this. He qualified down in 5th place and he's had to work hard. Others have fell by the wayside around him. But Will Friedman has just been superb today. Absolutely superb. Really good value for his money. And yeah, take nothing away from the young man. He's been wonderful to watch throughout this entire evening. And he's putting on a perfect display of driving here. Rook's still within that 9/10 of Clouden, so we keep our eyes on that. Straub's now within 6/10. That's of Gasby, sorry. So that is Gasby, who is obviously now who got overtaken after being in the pits for a while. Matt Wright got within 1.2, 1.4 of Hupert. I believe Matt Wright's made a mistake somewhere. In fact, no, Matt White has made a mistake because he's 11 seconds off the back of Hupert now. So I'm not sure what happened to Matt White there then. John Gooday's within 2.3. So John at the moment, has Straub had any traffic? In Ramsell maybe this lap. Straub looks like he's got a bit more damage. So I just wonder if Straub has hit something this lap, because John 2.3 is really close. Dan's not being able to gain on John at all. And this is what I mean. John, this season in that slower category of racing, has just looked fantastic. In the GT3s, we'll see. We've not seen him in much in the off-season. But in these slower GT4s and BMW M2s, John Gooday's looked a real class act. Why not Sam, Paul? As Ben says, Chris in the chat, and him and Clouden's got more damage. So has Ben and Clouden had a coming together as Friedman starts the final lap of this race? Have these two had a coming together? So John Gooday, where is he on track? He won't be lapped. Him and Straub might not be lapped this time around, so they could have another lap here. This is crucial for John to get another lap in. Tardok and Sylph have got one more lap to find out what they're doing. So what happened, Chris? Can you tell us anything? Taker's not far off the back of Michael Harris in this race. John Gooday still 2.5. So not many GT4 fights in this one. Ben locked up on his own. Tyres overheating. So Clouden looks like he's got more damage. So I'm unsure on that one then. Maybe Clouden's had his own moment. But Ben having a moment on his own. But Will Friedman, what can you say? Been fantastic in this race. Dan might sneak one more lap in here. I don't know if he will or not. The leader of GT4 is on the final lap now as well. They're coming up the mountain. But here comes Will Friedman then. Coming towards the line, or coming towards the final couple of corners. There's Dan Davis. Clouden hit the wall. Ben went for a go, but had a moment all on his own. So they didn't come together. They just had their own moments. But Will Friedman, how many times did Dan Davis say it last season in the GT4s? He's going to come and win here at Bathurst. Will Friedman takes the checkered flag. Great win for him from 5th place. Tordok and Self are going to come through to complete the GT3 Ford Mustang podium in fantastic style. Great to see them two cross the line. Good for them. Here comes Jamal Clouden, P4. P5 it's going to be for Ben Rook. He manages to hang on in there at the end of this race. P5, good result though for Ben. Over that of this battle here. P5, P6 and 7. Harris and overtaker on the grass. Oh, they come together at the end. Harris out of control on the grass. Ends up clipping overtaker. And well, they're going to finish 6th and 7th. But which way around, I'm not sure. Rob Smith has already finished. So here comes Harris. He'll take P6. Overtaker smashed up P7. That is big damage for him. Here comes then your race winner in the GT4 category. Hoopert here then across the line for the race win in GT4s. Matt White, 2 appearances, 2 second places for the American. He's going to come across the line for a P3. Great race for Matt Wright. Straub on debut at SimPlay. Just got to get these last couple of corners right. Looked a bit slow coming through there though. Looks fine on exit. Is Straub a little slow? John is coming off. I think Straub's fine. So Straub's going to hang on in there for this. It's going to be P3 and to round out the podium for Straub. Great race for him. John Gooday. Keep your eyes on him maybe as a reserve in GT4s. That could be a crucial fight. Dan Davis down the bottom order of the pack. Will Friedman, bad quality but good race for me. That's all that matters. Indeed it was, Will. Fantastic drive from you. What a display from 5th to 1st. Dan Davis, the stop-go penalty cost him in this race from being on the podium as he comes across the line to take that 5th place in category. And Ian Best with that bit of damage coming to round out the final place then. And that is how we finish. We'll bring up the timetable. Your winner in the GT3, Will Friedman, out of the 13 drivers, sorry. We didn't have 2 of the GT3. Sam Greaves got disqualified after 4 laps for driving the wrong way. But Will Friedman takes the race win from Tardok with fastest lap. Silf, Clouden, Ben Rook, Michael Harris, overtaker, Rob Smith a lap down, Millington, Ramsell, Horvath 2 laps down, and then Gasby at the end. And in GT4s it is Hoopert from Matt White with Straub, John Gooday and Dan Davis. Fraser O'Brien a lap down, Ramey Fernie 2 laps down. He finished out of Bettison. 3 laps down was Archer, 4 laps down was Best. Galindo